to just 3.6% of the total area of Gulf St Vincent, mainly centred on Port Wakefield and equally small fishing ports of Stansbury and Durham. That's not a lot of water for an activity that's part of an industry which contributes around 40 million annually to the South Australian economy and which provides direct and indirect employment for about 500 people. Out here at the sharp end of the industry, Bart and his deckhand Sean work long and arduous days to bring home a catch that's often a real fisherman's basket of different species in varying quantities. Running the net out is the first step in a work process which fluctuates between bouts of intense activity with long periods of waiting and patiently watching. That's the end of half a kilometre of net that they've laid out, and they'll now keep hauling it back towards the anchored buoy where they started, making a large circle of mesh which they hope will trap a good number of squid and mixed scalefish. It's a long, slow haul back to the starting point and a long while to wait until they can see the payoff. Well, it's taken about an hour after the nets were dropped in for us to work all the way around. We're just about there, and the target species is going to be squid, which is fabulous on the table. We're hoping in this section here, there's a pile of squid. They'll work their way down the net and get caught right down to the end. There's a big pocket, and that's where all the fish and squid are going to be ending up. I'm looking forward to seeing the action. That's the circle of livelihood for Bart and Sean right there. Whatever is swimming inside it will determine whether the hard work they have coming up to haul the net in will be worth it. It's about to start right now. This will be hard yakka, but also painstakingly careful and slow. They want to retrieve just the net, leaving the catch in a small pocket of mesh they'll leave in the water. The boat's going to just keep on pulling this in. The net will become a lot tighter until there's just a very small circle and it flushes all the fish into the pocket. You won't really see too many fish caught in the net itself. That's not the idea of this way they fish. Don't rush is the name of the game. There's a lot of net to pull in, yeah. It's about a 2-hour process each shot.
500 metres.
500 metres. I know, it's a lot. So the boys are very fit. We'll see how fit we are on the next shot. The way they're actually laying the net is really important because if we want to have another shot, the net all has to be able to be set off the back of the boat without any tangles. And the other thing is we're fishing over the top of a big weed bed, but there's hardly any weed coming up in the net. And the weed is quite strong and obviously buried into the mud and the sand.
The net doesn't really scrape the bottom, it just sort of goes over the top of the weed. If we damage the weed, we wouldn't have a job. We do occasionally get fish meshed up in this bit, and you know, if they're good fish, we keep them, of course, but yeah, the idea is that we try to get them in the pocket part.
And the snook, I haven't seen much of the snook before, but you can prepare these for the
They're
table.
actually very, very tasty.
Wow.
Snook, same with Tommy Ruffs and sardines. You really want to have those super fresh when you're cooking.
Yeah, well, that's super fresh, freezing cold.
You don't actually ever get to come out onto the boats and actually see how it's done, the people that are the faces behind the business.
We're down to the final stages right now, and this is the real danger time when the fish and the squid sneak away.
I think it's a fair catch. Not a bad day's work so far. The local community gets the first pick of our fish, and then from there we distribute to some restaurants in Adelaide, to Safcol, to Foodland.
And with the squid, I mean, are they going to ink everywhere?
Yeah, they probably will, yeah.
And I know a bit about that.
Oh!
Absolutely nailed me.
You got ya?
Oh, yeah.
I've been waiting for one to get me.
Well, you haven't been squid. Out on South Australia's Gulf St Vincent, it's time for us to see how well pro fisherman Bart and his decky Sean have gone with their first catch of the day.
Yeah, we've got a bit of a mixed bag, not too bad. It's basically a box, so the fish go in and rest in the back there while we scoop them out. We're very well regulated fishery, very heavily regulated, which is good, that's what we want. We want it to be sustainable, so hopefully there can be future generations of fishermen. With all haul net licences, you have to use a braille net to braille the fish out. We're just not allowed to bring the fish in and watch them flop around on the floor. We have to actually carefully take each scoop out, and that's it's regulated by law. So about 15 years ago, it might have been 20, Perth said everybody that has a haul net endorsement gets given a braille net on their licence.
And who came up with this idea?
That was Perth Fisheries.
Okay.
Together with Sardi, the research scientist.
And do you think it's a great technique
yeah,
to use?
Absolutely.
And it's not just the fish that benefit.
This juvenile female blue crab has got...
Oh, yeah, look at that.
It's carrying its eggs on the back. That female is probably about 7 or 8 centimetres, and they're not legal size until they're 11 centimetres across the carapace. It's regulated so they get to breed before commercial guys can take them.
Yeah, great idea.
And wreck fishes as well,
Yeah.
so it is really good management.
That's a really good idea.
And that's why there's so many blue crabs around.
Now Rebecca and I can help sorting and quickly releasing any bycatch. First squid.
Now I've got bottom of the squid now. There you go.
Oh, there we
you
go.
guys can sort those.
Don't get inked.
There's our catch. Half a box of squid and half a box of mixed fish.
Well, Beck, how about that whiting? Big gary.
Big gar.
Anyway, we're going off to do a little bit of cooking.
We've got a couple of dishes. The first one I thought